Alright guys, so today I want to go over this latest article from TCG Player called The Biggest Price Spikes in Pokemon This Week. This is from January 27th of 2026. I love that they put these weekly articles out. It's an easy way that you can scroll through real quick, see what the heck is going on in the Pokemon markets, and kind of keep your finger on the pulse of everything. It's also great, if you're a singles or, a graded card investor or whatever, you can see what cards are doing good. But even if you're a sealed investor still, guess what? The cards, the sets that are doing well, those are going to be, the sealed products that are probably moving in the same direction as well. So here, the first one we have to talk about is the Sabrina's Gengar. Very, very interesting here over the past year. A year ago, this thing was $162 raw, and it has since climbed up now to $311. Obviously, a very, very iconic card. Gengar, one of my favorite Pokemon for sure. A ton of people's favorite Pokemon as well. It seems like over the past couple months or like a past year or so, we've seen a ton of Gengar cards go absolutely insane. A lot of the biggest movers over the past year have been Gengar, actually. This Pokemon has been on fire. Not necessarily one of my favorite Gengar cards. The Gengar himself is only like, I don't know, a third of this card or something. I wish the art was a little bit cooler, but this is a very, very iconic card. The connection between the video game characters and the trading cards blew my mind. As an 11-year-old, I'm not sure I managed to hold on to any of these from my childhood to my adulthood. That's what's crazy. I definitely, owned this card as a child as well, but obviously do not own it anymore because it reached an all-time high this week. The Unlimited Gym Heroes printing of Sabrina's Gengar has reached a market price of $310. That's up from $290 at the beginning of the year and double what it was from a year ago. So again, Gengar cards very, very hot, but also vintage cards very, very hot recently as well. A lot of people saying, especially for potentially the 30th anniversary Pokemon, that vintage is going to go on a run, but also people have just been saying that vintage is kind of underrated for a while now. Obviously, people very, very hyped up and locked in on modern, but maybe vintage getting ready to. I know vintage already has kind of been going crazy, but maybe even ready for kind of another leg up. Here we have another Gengar. This is Sabrina's Gengar from Gym Challenge. $49 raw a year ago, now looking at $100. So again, pretty much doubling in price over the past year. What a lot of the great Pokemon cards and Pokemon products have done in the past 365 days. 2 gym leader sets, 2 Sabrina's Gengar cards, 2 price spikes. The Unlimited Gym Challenge printing of Sabrina's Gengar is less iconic and less expensive, but it's been on its own upward climb over the last year, and after another jump over the last week, it's up to a market price of over $100. So that is very, very cool. Here they also highlight the Mega Gengar EX from Phantom Forces, ultra rare, a very, very insane card, very crazy. Again, a lot of people love Gengar right now. He's super hot, but getting into a different Pokemon and another card that everyone kind of has an opinion about as well, and a set everyone has an opinion about, that's going to be Journey Together. This is Lily's Clefairy EX. Again, past year, obviously dating back to like March, $236. Kind of just been on a slow decline, but maybe it started to find a bottom. Again, bottoming out around $115. Now back up to $132. A decent little bump for the standout special illustration rare from Journey Together this week. Lily's Clefairy climbed this week from $117 to $127. It's a first positive week in a long time for the only true standout from the set. You have the Salamence EX, which I actually think is a pretty cool card. I do like the artwork a lot. And you have N Zoroark, which is a pretty okay card as well, both clearing the $50 threshold, but nothing else does. So again, overall, a pretty disappointing set with not very many big chase cards other than the Lily's Clefairy. So it really needs to carry the load and carry this set. And so hey, it's good news that it's bouncing back a little bit, but it's going to be interesting to see. Does it take another leg lower? Does it start climbing back up from here? I don't know. Again, Journey Together, not necessarily my favorite set in the world, a set that I'm mostly staying away from, but I understand why this is a very, very cute, very beautiful card, very nice artwork, but definitely not necessarily something that I'm looking to go super heavy into or anything like that. But something that I would be a little bit more interested in going heavy into is this is the Magikarp and Wailord GX, which again a year ago $38, now up to $84, more than doubling in the past year. And we've seen a ton of tag team, a ton of team up, a ton of even just specifically Magikarp and Wailord cards been absolutely on fire lately. Also up this week is one of my favorite pairings ever put to paper. Again, the pairing of them together is hilarious. It makes for great artwork. Again, you have the comically huge, the comically small, the comically useless, whatever. It's a great pairing. I love tag team. I love team up cards in general. There's a reason why they are, such an insane set, why they've been so insane. And the Magikarp and Wailord pairing just works. This card has been on an absolute tear since the beginning of the year when it dipped as low as $68. For reference, it's coming in today at triple what it was a year ago. It's not the only Magikarp and Wailord climbing in price. The Team Up secret rare printing of Magikarp and Wailord has been doing well as well. And then you also have the full art printing of Magikarp and Wailord GX from the set recently reaching an all-time high. Before we move on from Magikarp, I'll never miss a chance to check out on the Paldea Evolved. Again, another Magikarp card that I absolutely love. This card is a banger. So lots of Magikarp cards doing very, very well right now. But another kind of tag team card that's also been doing good, and Rainbow Rares in general have been on this list a lot over the past few weeks. This is the Eevee and Snorlax secret rare. Team Up really did serve up some excellent pairings, and Eevee and Snorlax GX certainly qualifies as one of those. Let's see how this is done over the past year. $138 a year ago, $226 now, so still very, very nice performance for this over the past year. It's up from $220 to $235 over the past week. Again, I would definitely be looking for a lot of tag team stuff, a lot of team up stuff, a lot of secret rare stuff. That stuff continues to be on these biggest movers list over the past few weeks. Again, don't necessarily look at the ones that have spiked up the most. Look at the ones that are maybe a little bit undervalued. Look at what you think is going to be the next one to spike up, whatever. But it does seem like there's a ton of opportunities in that kind of, little bit older stuff that's had more time to age, stuff that's a little bit more rare, stuff that's a little bit more expensive, yes, but you're paying up for, again, stuff that is very, very, very good. And obviously, there's a ton of demand in some of these secret rares, some of these tag team cards, some of these team up sets and stuff, and that's why they've been doing so well. And I don't really see any reason why they would stop, because a lot of these cards are super, super, super good. I think the future is bright for them. Those are ones that I'm definitely really, really high on right now, but going forward in the future as well. Here, we have the Mewtwo V-Star. Again, Mewtwo, one of my favorite Pokemon. Absolutely love him. This is a crazy card. I want to say there's almost too much going on this card, but you're also getting a Mewtwo, big banger, rare card with a Charizard on it as well. So I guess it checks a lot of boxes. It's definitely pretty cool. A year ago, this thing was 125. Now it's up to 179. So not necessarily, the fastest mover or grower in the world or anything like that. But there's just a hint of movement on this ultra rare printing of Mewtwo in the Crown Zenith Galarian Gallery release. In the past 2 weeks, it's climbed from 157 to 175. Not quite an all-time high, but still a big week for the Mewtwo V-Star. You also have a little further, and Mewtwo will be on the heels of the set's most expensive card, the Giratina V-Star, which is just a crazy card. And then you also have the unmistakable art, makes it very recognizable, and after touching down to lows 175 back at the end of 2025, is up to this week to a market price of around 200. Giratina has also been on climb as of late, moving up from 175 to the end of the year to 205 today. Final, the big three cards inside is the Arceus V-Star, which is also insane. Just the quality of art on all these cards, and that's why Modern has been going so insane. That's why people are so focused on Modern right now. The Modern kind of level or threshold for artwork is absolutely crazy, and that's why a lot of these cards are just going so insane. That the hype is deserved, I think, in a lot of these cases. And then also finally rounding out this list, let's take a look at one of the most aggressive climbers of all of 2025 and added again in the new year. Here we have the Lugia EX from Ancient Origins. $71 a year ago, now up to $221. Again, over tripling in price. Very, very cool card. I guess a little bit underrated and underappreciated from what the writer's saying here, but man, that thing has been on an absolute banger. And one more card that I wanted to check in on that has also been on this list a little bit over the past few weeks, which is probably why they didn't want to include it, but the Mega Charizard XEX from Phantasmal Flames has been on fire once again. Look at the 1 month chart for this. $445 to start out the year, coming into 2026. This thing now sits at $634. This thing has been on an absolute tear. Obviously, Phantasmal Flames, in general, still a relatively new set. Still, having Phantasmal Flames products come out. I just recently picked up 2 of the Mega Charizard UPCs from Target. I know you could get some online orders in and stuff like that. So a lot of the stuff obviously still being printed, but you can see here, this thing was $781, dropped all the way down to $455. Now is climbing all the way back up. I definitely still think we could see some more ups and downs, but one of the better Charizard cards in existence, the blue and the red between, all the evolutions of Charizard and stuff like that, looks absolutely insane. The artwork is beautiful. It's an amazing card. One of the cards that's carrying the Phantasmal Flame set. I think it's still going to have a ton of volatility. I still think it's going to have a ton of ups and downs, but man, this thing has been on fire lately. If you bought one of these, towards the beginning of the year or towards the end of 2025, you're already doing pretty damn well. So we'll have to wait and see what the future has in store for that card as well. Obviously, at some point, I'm sure that's going to be an amazing card that goes on a crazy run. But again, with Phantasmal Flame still being so new, I would want to wait, later on down the road or whatever. But that's pretty much it for this video today, guys. Hopefully, catch you in the next one. Until then, peace.